everyone. I'd like to talk to you about a great way to market and support your digital library collections, and that is through the use of LibGuides. And many of you are probably familiar with LibGuides, but I'm just going to briefly talk to you a little bit about how you can set up some LibGuides to highlight some of your existing and perhaps new digital collections like ebooks. So we have started a new menu item on our website at the New York Law Institute for LibGuides, where our patrons can navigate just to a specific guide, or they can click into the menu item and get the entire list of our LibGuides. And you can see that we've got guides on a variety of topics, such as bankruptcy law, which provides both primary and secondary sources for our patrons, and links to many of our ebooks as suggestions or recommendations that they can click into. So one thing that you might consider doing is creating these guides to make your patrons aware about your different collections or different vendor platforms. And this is a very effective way to market your collections. You can blog about your LibGuide, you can tweet about it, you can put it on Facebook, and it keeps your resources at the forefront of your patrons' minds. And another great use of LibGuides is to support your digital media collections that maybe some of your patrons have difficulty getting access to or figuring out how to use. We have a very comprehensive LibGuide on our ebook collections. We've got two main ebook collections at the New York Law Institute, our ProQuest ebooks and our Lexis Overdrive collection. And so what we've done is created different tabs with all of the most frequently asked questions, such as how do you download an ebook from our collection, how to print, etc. And we've done that for both of our ebook collections. And the great part about LibGuides, for those of you who aren't familiar, is that you don't have to start from scratch when you are creating a new LibGuide. You can do a search for an already existing LibGuide created by another library, or perhaps another member of your library staff, and you can use that as a template for both layout and content of your LibGuide. And I'll show you how that works. So I'm going to log in to LibApps. Okay, and now I'm logged in, and you can see that I can go in and I can make edits to any of these boxes that I have set up, as well as any of the content. And this is how LibGuides works. For those of you who aren't familiar with it yet, this is the type of interface. And SpringShare is really great about providing a lot of video tutorials as well as written tutorials if you prefer that. And I'll be providing you with the link to all of those how-to tutorials for getting up and running on using LibGuides. But what I wanted to show you is how to start a new LibGuide and not start from scratch. So I'm going to go to my home page and click on Create a Guide. And here's where you have your choice, where you can start fresh or you can copy the content and layout from an existing guide. And every time that you create a new LibGuide, you are given the choice whether you want to keep that private or if you want to share it with the community. And I really encourage you to share your LibGuides with the community because it really does help other librarians that are trying to get going with using LibGuides. And so here is where you can click into the community guides and you can do a search. So let's say I wanted to do a new LibGuide on the topic of bankruptcy, for example. I would plug in that keyword and I can browse through all of these LibGuides created by other libraries. So I'll just click into one and show you what that looks like. Okay, so once I click in, I can then open up the link and see what that LibGuide looks like and make the decision whether or not I want to use that as my template. And if I do, all I do is go back and go to Create Guide. But first I would name it, put a description, and of course, especially if I were using someone else's guide as a template, I would share it back to the community. But if I decided, no, I don't want to use that one, I'd like to keep looking at some of those other ones, I can easily do that by clicking back here, doing another search, and selecting another LibGuide. And then I can take a look at that one. And if that is more of my preference, I can go back and use that one. So that's how you can get started quickly and easily with creating LibGuides, and it saves a lot of time. And then what you can do is once you have copied it for the content, you would of course want to change the links to any recommended ebooks to go to your library catalog instead of the library who originally made the LibGuide. But that's just a matter of editing. You don't have to get started with setting up all of the layout and everything else. So those are my tips for using LibGuides to promote your digital library collections.